But mate, we're going to talk about a fellow named John Thomas Close, C-L-O-S-E, J.T. Close. He's regarded as the... Well, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about him and Prince Charles, which, as you do, you know.
Are they linked?
They both been to the Riverina.
Okay.
But Close was regarded as the father of Finley. I mean, he was a really brilliant person. And I mean, he was. In his own way, he was just spectacular. His contribution to the Riverina, indeed Australia for that matter, is just spectacular. He was born at Majorca in Victoria. He attended school at Tallygarupna.
What a great name.
I've been practising that all morning.
I love these names. Yeah, they're great names.
Yeah, I mean, they were obviously drunk when they when they named this place. When he was 14 years old, he was apprenticed to a blacksmith named John McLean. Now, John McLean, every blacksmith you ever see is named John McLean.
I was going to say, it's a good name for a blacksmith.
Yeah, definitely. 1893, he had to make a big decision. He was leaving Tallygarupna and he was coming to either Wagga Wagga or Finley. Okay, so he said to somebody, what do you think of Wagga? And they said, no good, mate. There's a flood there at the moment. He said, I don't like water, so I'm not going to Wagga Wagga, I'll go to Finley. And as soon as he got to Finley, he noticed there were hardly any buildings there. There was hardly anything there.
Right.
And the other thing he noticed very quickly was there were only bores, because no river or anything like that, which he didn't realise.
Well, no flood.
Well, no flood, yeah. So you don't get this big flood, but you do get lots of salty water, unless you've got a rain tank. And, he didn't have one. So he, he was a bit put out a bit. I thought he might have come on to Wagga. And if he had have, how would he have got on? Because Wagga was a bigger place. I mean, it was only tiny, but it was bigger than nothing. It was bigger than Finley. Anyway, he started up his smithy. He did very well. The smithy became a foundry. It got bigger and bigger. Pretty soon he was employing 36 tradesmen.
That's huge.
Now, yeah, that's not 36 people. That's 36 tradesmen. They were carpenters and all sorts of things, because he could make any class of implement or machine. That was his big claim to fame. And, he had, and another thing he did too was he was right up with it all the time, bit out in front of most people. When they invented electricity plants, he had one, and not only that, he electrified the town. All the not all the private houses, but a number of private houses and shops and so on all ran off his, and the Presbyterian Church. Now, if you were an Anglican or a Catholic, you were in the dark.
Wow.
But if you were Presbyterian, you could see the light. It's true. So, it was... He was out in front of...
Clearly a man of vision.
That's what I was trying to say. He didn't have a bookkeeper.
Ah.
He had a good memory, or this is his claim to fame. But what he did was, he was a really interesting person. He didn't have a bookkeeper. He kept all his information in his head, if you owed him money and so on. But I mean,
I bet he'd be able to recount every penny.
No. Well, I don't reckon he could. But what he used to do was he'd meet you somewhere and start talking to you, and you'd feel guilty because you owed him money. And so, yeah.
So you'd just cough up.
Yeah. He worked on that principle. He played football too for Finley. Yeah, he was captain for 7 years, and he was regarded as a very tough and hard man. But people from Finley are pretty, you wouldn't want to come up against the Finley football team. He worked very hard to get the government to resume 50,000 acres of Tupple Station, which, threw all that area open to people, made Finley, boom, really and truly. The extension of the railway from Berrigan to, it was, just what Finley needed. And he also did very well in getting the headquarters of the Water Conservation and Irrigation Commission in Finley.
Why was he so active in all of this? What was it that made him want to get all
What
this
makes anybody,
progress for Finley?
What made George Forsyth in Wagga, I mean, and well...
Just again, men of vision and of action, I suppose. It's not just talking about it, getting results too.
Very much so, yeah. Probably poor home life or something like that. No television, what else can you do?
See, television, the downfall of civilization.
I'll drink to that. He was a very trusted person. When I was going through his papers, I noticed that he was, executor of a large number of wills, to the point where, you actually noticed it. So, we owe John Thomas Close a real lot.
Is there anything in Finley like a close park, close street?
Look, I haven't been to Finley for ages. Yeah, well, but, he is remembered in a number of ways, mainly because, the family took over his business. I don't know whether it's still going or not, but I'm sure that little light over there will light up.
If you can shed some light on the footprint still of JT Close, if there's anything still around town to mark him. 1300 22 1027, maybe a park or a street or something along those lines. 1300 22 1027.
And ask for Anne.
Well, you can tell Simon, because Simon's going to be sitting there having a chat on the phone in a minute. So
Beauty.
We'll see if we can find out what's still there.
Mate.
We've had a couple of people talk to us about Finley. John from Glenfield, which is a suburb in Wagga, says he's an old Finley identity. He says there's still a close business running in town, third generation.
Yep.
And apparently John's dad knew Mr. Close well during the war years, and that he could get anything. That he was the great provider.
Yep.
Yeah.
People here in Wagga were sending stuff on the rail down to, can you make this bearing case for me and stuff, because something broke, and he could. I mean, they were just geniuses. They could do anything. This fellow was just so good, and he appears in farming magazines and so on. People, whenever a group of farmers get together, they don't talk about you and I, mate. They talk about JT Close. Yeah.
And Bev from Finley gave us a call that she bought the Close family home. She's since sold it, but she bought the home, and it was the first house in the district to have power in 1912, which is what you were saying before about how he was the great electricity man.
So Bev can actually hear us in Finley.
Oh yeah, we have lots of people in Finley.
G'day Finley, how are you, Bev? We go everywhere, don't we?
We do, mate. We do.
Oh, dear idea.
So there you go. So Bev, I tell you what, Bev, one of these days, we'd love to have a chat with you about what the inside of the house was like.
Yeah,
like
that would be very interesting. Yeah. Weatherboard, I'd imagine. Weatherboard house, because one of the things about the Riverine Plain, it moves, and so bricks crack and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. Very good. Bev, thanks for your call. Jen, John from Glenfield as well. John, thank you very much for coming in.
Always
it's been very
a pleasure.
Good. And we'll do it again next Monday. Bye-bye.